So, Gotchard and Gavv. I don't know a better intro. I was going to do originally a video about Gavv's leaks because that was just interesting, but then I thought about it for 2 seconds and I realized that was a horrible idea to talk about leaks publicly, so I'm just going to talk about Gotchard and my experience with it, and then I'm going to talk about what I like about Gavv so far. So first, Gotchard. I thought Gotchard was great. It didn't click with me, is what I would say. It didn't hit me in the right spot that made me care about it a bunch, but it also had some absolutely phenomenal arcs. Rainbow Gotchard's debut, obviously, and this sounds kind of weird, but the Wrestler G arc is just the pinnacle of pure bullshit in writer, and I love it for that. And of course, Kamen Rider Valverad's debut, because just awesome. I should probably say it. I didn't plan to talk about it here, but I just remembered how like many homestuck parallels I drew. I made a whole PowerPoint about that. A lot of Gotchard is like it's not the most complex, especially on the surface, but I really like how the simple stuff is done, and reading the producer notes especially has made me think a lot more about the themes, like the themes of the finale, the themes of the one fight with Hotaru and Spanner, and again the Rainbow Gotchard arc is just amazing. I think Raine and Spanner were both underserved. I don't think anyone is arguing about that point, but especially Raine as the first female secondary writer, it really sucks how much she just got dealt the bad hand. When she finally debuted her final form in like episode 48, the production blog basically said it was something along the lines of like to give forms for writers that aren't the primary, Toei has to convince Bandai to make toys for that. So secondary writers having final forms is not a given at all. They said this about Gotchard, which basically just says, yeah, they were fighting tooth and nail for her, and that really sucks. Like, I can't imagine how that is. Like, first you have to convince Toei, and then Bandai. 2 of them. My favorite characters were probably the 3 sisters. Not any specific one of them, just like their dynamic as a whole makes them a lot more unique and a lot more deep. It's this weird family that isn't really a family, and they're trying to do their own things, and none of them want the other ones. It gets so much more complex as it goes along. Like, they go from these like evil goth villains to like how many people cried when Lucas just died. Like, that sucked, man. I really hope they come back for review cinema. Overall, Gotchard is really great. I really did enjoy it. Again, it didn't really click with me like it did with others, but I know a bunch of people who really enjoy it. The reason why it didn't click with me was probably that I watched it weekly, but I only started watching it weekly halfway through, because Gotchard was already airing when I first got into Rider. Geats was finished when I started watching Geats, and I was curious about Gotchard, like since I finished Build, but Cure thought it was mid. She's only watched like 5 episodes, so I just listened to her until I think it was after Xade. Like, right after the 5th one, I decided, okay, no more shows that I can put in the video. I'm going to start with Gotchard, because I think that it sounds really interesting. I very clearly remember this. I The first episode that I watched weekly after catching up with Gotchard was the Platinum debut. I'm 90% sure. And the first episode that I watched live was Wynn's debut, which that was an episode. And from then on out, I watched most of the episodes live and then watched them captioned after those came out. I don't have quite the connection I have to it as I do to Gavv already. Like, Gavv, I've been with it the whole time, so I feel a lot more connected to it, and I am much more invested in it, but that's just a me thing, and I'm about to get critical of the fandom here, so don't come at me. Most of my interactions with the Toku fandom are in 2 Discord servers. It's a little bubble. One's a private server, and the other is Thomas Jujube's server. So I don't get exposed to most of the horrible opinions writer fans have, but like every time I look in comment sections for bigger YouTubers, or I hear about things, it's always that there are a bunch of people who think Geats is the greatest thing ever made, and who think that Gotchard is a total crap. And I'm like, how do you think this? How do you think this? It seems to stem a lot from, like, its episodic nature at the start. Like, a lot of takes from even people that I have in Discord servers are like, the first arc was pretty meh, but then it got really good. And, like, I've watched the first arc. It's just episodic bullshit. Why do you dislike that? I thought everyone in this fandom has watched Ozer Double. Like, it's just very baffling to me that people think a show is bad because it's less quote-unquote mature or plot-heavy than Geats was. Geats was not that good. It was my first writer show. I can tell you, it is not that good. It has a bunch of flaws. And honestly, I consider Gotchard to be better than Geats, in my opinion. Just in my opinion. I looked at comments on one YouTube video, and all of it was like, man, Gotchard was okay, but it just doesn't compare to the absolute peak that Geats was, or they should have made Hotaru's dad a plot point, or they should have made Kaguya the main writer or something. Like, extremely dumb bullshit. And it's gotten to the point where my friend Sunny from the private server I mentioned posted a few weeks ago like a parody of the Gaim copy pasta about HBO, but it was Geats, and it was like, Geats is one of the few writer shows I actually wouldn't mind airing in America along on like Disney Plus alongside The Boys and Breaking Bad. And it was to make fun of the Geats stans that hate Gotchard, and half of the replies to that post were like, oh my gosh, yes, I totally agree with this. Geats should air in America. Like, yeah, and it's a lot of YouTubers I've seen parroting those opinions as well. And all these same people I hear are going like, OMG, yes, Gavv, I can't wait for Gavv, it's going to be so much better than Gotchard. And I don't know what to tell you. How do you look at that OP and think, yes, it's going to be a dark and mature season? The only thing indicating that it could be as plot heavy as most Rainbow shows is that Valen's debuting pretty early, episode 4 or 5. Yeah, that's a good segue into Gavv. So, like I said earlier, Gavv is something that I've been following since the first leak. It's something that I alluded to both Gotchard and Gavv in the Geek section of, the Dime section of the video that's coming up pretty soon, the part 2 to 3. But here's the thing. I've recorded that section in April. Gotchard was still in, like, the 30s, the early 30s, and Gavv, we didn't even know what its name was. So that'll be interesting to watch. For Gavv, there was information we got a lot earlier than any other writer show since, like, Forze. I'm not talking about the stuff I'm not supposed to talk about. I'm talking about, like, it was in June where we got an official release of the suit and most of the staff, and then the movie debut. We were thinking, oh yeah, it hasn't been shown out of suit since Forze. They're not gonna show him. They're not gonna show the human actor. They showed the human actor. Hi, Shoma. So yeah, that's been a wild ride the whole time. I just really like the show's vibe so far. I think everyone does. I think it's looking to be a really fun show. I like Shoma's character so far. I like Honto. He's just a silly guy. You like from his outfit and stuff and how he's presented and most of the promo stuff, you expect him to be like another moody secondary, and then he's just like a cute autistic guy. And I say autistic because I'm autistic. Sachika, of course, I love her. She's a lesbian. I love her, and she seems to be the tertiary. Does not mention wigs again. Just judging from the fact that she has an empty bubble, a very noticeable empty bubble in the opening, like Honto does, who everyone knows is going to be the secondary. And so that's going to be interesting. I was sort of hoping for her to be the tertiary, but I wasn't really expecting it because just usually winter movie debuts and stuff like that. I hope she doesn't get a winter movie debut like Raine did. That sucked. In Gotchard, when I was watching Gotchard, Raine just offhandedly mentioned, like, oh yeah, I won't be able to transform like I just did. And I was wondering if like my viewer had like skipped a whole episode or something. Like, what the hell do you mean a transformation? Did she what? What did I miss? That was when the movie happened. I didn't know that. Gavv has some it's a bit visually questionable, how he gets the power-ups. I think everyone is thinking the same thing. Kamen Rider Imprinting, it's just so weird. And the villains are also pretty gross. Yeah, the villains, I didn't remember anything about the older brother guy. I remembered everything about the other siblings, but the older brother, like, you know, who is probably going to be the most important, he was not memorable in any way, at least before the show aired. I don't know if the show is probably going to make him more memorable, obviously. I didn't even remember what he looked like. All I can remember now is that he has long hair, and I don't really like how he looks. Yeah, and then we got the hot lady, the hot nerd, Daichi, but better probably, and then the gender twins, Barzum and Baisley. I couldn't help referencing Homestuck. That's what they are. They're just Barzum and Baisley. I love Shoma. He's just a little guy. I love his Gochi Souls. They're like Pikmin. They're adorable. Cure hates them. Cure thinks they're like her worst enemy. I don't know why. I guess she finds her voice. I guess she finds their voices annoying. Yeah, I think they're awesome. And Sachika again. She's just wonderful. I'm very glad she's not just a writer girl who does nothing. You'll see my criticism for that in a while. And Honto, I watched Double and Force basically back to back. I am very glad I don't have to see, as much as I love the moody secondary trope that writer has, like, it's always amazing to see them get nicer and slowly, like, become more part of the group. But I also just, not every show needs that. Well, I'm prepared to eat my words on that. Gavv just feels very special to me. Just the way that it feels like I've been there with it the whole time. Again, I said this like 3 times now. It just that's what gets you attached to it, I think. And of course, it's also just shaping up to be amazing already. The villains are cool, the characters are great. I think Shoma's got a really compelling arc. Like, my jaw dropped when the parallels between him and Honto's backstories were revealed. That was incredible to see. Stuff like that. How large do you think the chances are that they'll have another dad writer? Can they stop with those? That's how much money do you think that makes? It can't be making that much money. Like, moms aren't going to like be buying drivers secretly. It's Toei, why do you keep doing this? For some reason, my train of thought just looped around to the Momotaro Spuckle, the Momotaro Slock from the stupid MSPA Reader Mental Breakdown parody I made. Why did I even do that in the first place? I was just doing whatever the fuck I felt like doing for that. I don't really have anything else to say about Gavv, so I should probably just say what I'm doing right now. It's been a lot. School started again. Since I started writing the writer video, I have watched a lot more Toku. So people probably get the impression that I know a lot less than I do at this point. I know as much as any other fan does. I have watched like 10 writer shows, maybe. Becky, please remind me to send you the screenshot of my backlog. It's a lot of shows. I am currently watching Kabuto, specifically because on the original version of my writer video, you can't see them anymore, so just take my word for it. There were at least 4 comments telling me to watch Kabuto. I don't know why. Well, now I do. Now I do. It's pretty obvious. It's about systemic corruption, and the protagonist thinks he's the best thing ever. Well, Ace doesn't really do that. It's very different. It's very different. I already like Kabuto a lot more. I'm currently watching episode 11, and I think it's really excellent. The next video that I'm going to make probably won't be the Kamen video. It's going to be a video about my first job, because I just have a lot to say about that, and I've wanted to make a video on it for a while. So you can look forward to that, learning about all the different ways chain restaurant can break the law. I'm also watching Levi's, but it's very slow because Cure wants me to only watch it while in BC with her, and we're watching it together. Levi's is her favorite show. Yeah, all the Gates fans are going to be like, oh, that's why she has terrible taste. Levi's is not the best. Like, it's definitely flawed. I don't think the first arc is as great as others have apparently said it is. I think it's just consistently pretty good. I just watched episode, I believe, 35. Hana and Sakura are great. I don't think anyone's debating on that. I went ecstatic when Kamen Rider Aguilera debuted. Like, I didn't expect that, and it was totally deserved for her character. I legitimately thought it was going to be Tamaki there. Yeah, I'm at the point where Realize is getting like a new writer every episode. There are so many. It doesn't even compare to any other show. I hope Gavv doesn't have too many writers, because oh my god, does every Reiwa season besides Gotchard overdo it with the writers? You don't need to sell that many toys. You don't need to sell so many toys. Just make the toys good. Well, with Gotchard, they have like 101 cards, 102 actually, 103, because Nijigan is 2, and there's that extra one from the Sabimaro 2-part that was made instead of Raine or Spanner getting a 2-parter for their final form. Yeah, 103 cards. That's how Gotchard had to make up, because they, well, O's had like a bunch of toys, and that's how they sold toys. They were just cheap and very numerous, so I guess it makes sense. Why did I even start talking about that? What was the point of that? I was just going to talk about what shows I'm currently watching. I am busy, but I really want to keep making videos because I enjoy just putting them out there and seeing other people respond to them, and I like connecting to other people and seeing what they think. That's why I make videos, and that's why I have like 2 hours of writer video, an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours of writer video, like at least an hour left to go. That's going to be a while, so I'm starting small. You can expect the first job video on either October 15th or October 28th, October 29th actually. Those two specifically because the first one is the anniversary of when I quit the job, and the second one is the anniversary of my last day on the job. That's what those significances are, and that gives me enough time to make the video. Definitely, who knows, if I don't get preoccupied with something else, like, I don't know, Collective Unconscious, which I haven't worked on in several weeks. I could start editing the guy in House and X-Aid part. Probably not, but I could start editing that by the time that the first job video comes out. I'm avoiding referring to the first job by name just because I don't want to get in any legal trouble. Sued really hard, as Nimona said. But yeah, that's my plan for now. And I hope you look forward to it, and I hope to see you next time.